Hello. This is Tech Talk Tonight, episode number 22. We're here live in, my basement, and, we're also live out there in Chicagoland with this guy. How's it going? Who are you?
Is that me?
No. Oh, yeah, I actually have to tell you who you guys are. Rob Jib? Did I say it right, Rob?
That's, yeah, that'll work.
All right, and Gavin Raycamper with Rob's lower third. So how are you guys? Y'all. What is up? How is everything going and such? Wow, this is...
it's going pretty well. I don't know. Rob and I could be in the same room if we wanted to, but we're both Skyped in like big losers, so...
So exactly how far away from each other are you currently?
Well, do you count the wall?
Yes.
Like going around the wall?
No. Go through the wall.
It's probably about 15 to 20 feet.
Nice. So we're using up your bandwidth, sending 2 Skype videos out to here in Highland from Chicago, and then sending it out to the world where everyone else is watching us, despite what the number tells us at the top of the...
Dude, they're up to 6 viewers. This is huge.
Holy cow. Hello, 6 people. Join our chat room. We will be talking to you. Hey, we do have some people in there. Hello, chat room. We love chat room. What's up with you guys? What is new in the world of tech up in Chicagoland?
I don't know. Rob and I are playing some intense word games over our mobile phones.
And what word game exactly is this?
Well, I feel like I'm like a year behind the times on these the Scrabble games, right? They were all the rage back in the day, and now I'm just getting into them.
Okay.
Do you play those word games?
Rob, do you play those word games? Yeah, well, I played them in the game with Gavin right now. Actually just got started with Word Feud maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then now they just released Words with Friends, which is a popular iPhone game out on Android. So now I can play across platforms. Doesn't matter what phone you have. I could whoop your butt on either one.
Now, does the Words with Friends for Android play against the Words with Friends on iPhones and such?
Yes.
I guess that's how you guys would be playing. Gavin's on iPhone now, and Rob, you're on an Android device?
Right.
All right, I will be downloading Words with Friends as we speak and go along here. So, what are our other tech stories? Gavin, hit us off with something.
So, I mean, the biggest story, I think, last week was clearly the Jeopardy. They had some people actually play a supercomputer on Jeopardy live. And Rob is the expert, actually. Rob's the resident expert on Jeopardy. So who played the computer, Rob?
So we had Ken Jennings and Brad Rutter. These are the mega champions of Jeopardy fame. You had Ken Jennings, who played in 75 matches, streak, won 74 in a row before guessing FedEx instead of H&R Block. And we had Brad Rutter, who had won every single Jeopardy game he had ever played up until losing to Watson. He had won a couple different Tournament of Champions. So these were 2 pretty bright guys going against IBM's Watson computer.
Now, did the Watson have to like listen to the language of Alex Trebek, or did he get it like piped in directly to him?
I think they just had the text given directly to him. And then they were actually saying that when, say, like Ken and Brad were coming up with responses before Watson, that it might have only taken them a second to answer that, and the computer was still processing at that time, and it might have taken 2.5 seconds for it to process that text that it was given. So it had about roughly the same thinking time as the contestants, because they can read the text while Alex is announcing it.
I did find one thing interesting, that they physically had to make a thumb for Watson to push the button, just like the other 2 contestants had to.
Yeah.
Otherwise it wouldn't be fair, I guess.
Now, Watson never rang in early, which is... That's something that happens if you're a regular player. You might ring in too early, and then you get locked out for a couple of seconds. But It didn't look like Watson was ever doing that, so it's probably an advantage he has over a regular
So,
person.
so who ended up winning, Rob? I mean, the question here is like, what does this mean for broader computing? Like, are the computers going to take over the world? Are we all going to be run by machines someday?
Uh, yes. Short answer.
I would like to chime in just like Ken Jennings did and say, I, for one, welcome our new computer overlords. I think I got that right. And that's a Futurama reference for those who didn't get that when Ken wrote it. I caught the end there now. But
Well, I personally, I don't think we'll ever be owned by computers. Like, I mean, they can get smart, but there were clearly some misfires by the computer, especially when it came to like humor and things where you have to pick up on things where humans understand it, but computers don't generally notice. And I don't know if we'll ever be able to program that in.
all right, so I had one other article that basically compared Watson to the Wolfman Alpha. There we go. That search engine, because that's basically what they're trying to do with that search engine is to be able to type in a question like a Jeopardy question and be able to search for the same type of thing like Watson was doing. So the article actually goes into detail about how they differenced in as far as what they're doing. Wolfman Alpha is a completely different kind of thing, something much more radical based on quite different paradigm. The key point is Wolfman Alpha is not dealing with documents or anything derived from them. Instead, it's dealing directly with raw, precise, computable knowledge, and that's inside is not statistical representation of text, but actually representation of knowledge. And I thought that would be how Watson was operating and not the actual search engine. Did anybody else read that article? It's on the wave.
That's a negative.
Okay. Well, let's skip over that then.
Wolfram
they're
Alpha
kind of
is
the same
interesting,
things.
though. I mean, you can put some interesting queries in it, but it seems like you have to put them in a specific way in order to actually get useful results out of it.
Well, that's kind of the same thing as Google. You have to know how to word your search directly to try to get that type of answer and stuff there.
Well, I mean, with Google you can just search anything and it'll come up with results. But with Wolfram Alpha, if you want to get meaningful results, you have to well, I guess you don't really have to, but like the structured queries make it work better.
Sure. You were gonna chime in, Rob?
Yeah, I was going to say the differences with IBM's Watson is that it's trying to do natural language processing. And so, say like in that one question you had about U.S. cities was the final, and it gave the response Toronto. And
Right.
a regular person might think that that's completely wrong. But if you actually look back at the IBM's explanation for why that happened, is because you look at U.S. cities, and there actually are, I think, about 8 Torontos in different states.
Right.
And so it technically it could be a correct answer. But let's say you were talking about the American League in baseball. Well, Toronto could be a correct answer for that, even though you would suddenly rule out Toronto as an answer because you're talking about America or something American. And basically what its difference is Wolfram or Google might be looking through certain tables or certain calculating methods, and Watson is looking for key phrases, but then it's trying to break down the response and look at and it's other things, so like books or
Right.
documents, things where things might be related to each other rather than just in a specific format.
That's very interesting.
As Gavin comes back from his game of Words with Friends.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of Words with Friends and Apple, there was an Apple story what was this, today, Braden? You posted this, that Apple's going to release new MacBook Pros. What's the deal there?
That's the big speculation that later this week we're probably going to get an announcement, probably not from the Jobs, but from somebody here at Apple. They'll do a little keynote type of deal. And we're in, as far as refresh rate and stuff goes for Apple products, it's time basically for MacBook not really the MacBook Air, but the MacBook Pro line to be updated now. And the big rumor is that we're going to get this Light. I want to say Light Scribe. That's the CD thing. Light. The interface with Light. What is it called?
Light Peak?
Light Peak. Thank you. That is the word for it. So basically not necessarily like a fiber connection, but they're doing, instead of sending electrons across, they're sending light across, which is technically faster. So this is going to be a new type of port, kind of to go alongside with USB 3.0. Since Apple really hasn't jumped on that bandwagon, they're going to use LightPeak, and that's going to be this new connection, hopefully to replace their DisplayPort and USB on these computers. So,
Well, they just created DisplayPort. What are they trying to do here?
actually, DisplayPort's kind of fairly old now, because there was a
Well,
larger
they just started using
DisplayPort.
it like 3 years ago.
No, they've been using it for the last 3 or 4 generations of Mac. Because there's the bigger DisplayPort, and then there was DisplayPort Mini. DisplayPort Mini is what's on a lot of them now, and is carried over into kind of PC now that they're using DisplayPort Mini. But this LightPeak is hopefully going to be able to replace both USB and the DisplayPort. Which, as far coming from an AV standpoint of all this, all interfaces, like all your laptops with VGA on them, they're no longer going to be able to be used come here in about 2 years. Because of, and I'm going to say like the RIAA, but really I don't think it's that. But
That's a bunch of baloney.
No. VGA is going away because they're not going to allow analog signals anymore. It all has to be digital interfaces.
Yeah, if you want to play their stupid DVDs, no one wants to play their crap.
The Blu-rays at high definition, right? Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah,
The component
basically
to
everything
HDMI
that's
conversion?
Yeah, everything and above 480p is going to have to be sent over a digital interface, and it's all going to be signed, I believe is how they're referring to it. Like every time it goes through an interface, it has to be signed, and if it passes the signage, it'll be able to send the video on and display on the TV or wherever else. So goodbye VGA, it's been nice knowing you. I use you all over this basement. You're not leaving here anytime soon.
Yeah, that'll be like IPv6, where like they say you need it and only a few people will have it, and
We're already there though. All the backbone of the internet is being slowly converted over to IP6.
dude, IPv6 is never gonna happen.
It is already happening. You can't
It
say
has
that
to
it's not
happen.
going to happen.
There's a great article out there about how many people think it's just never going to happen, because in order for them to implement it, they're going to have to. Everyone has to, like, the backbones have to switch over at the exact same time,
Why does it all have to switch over at the same
and
time?
because IPv4 cannot talk to IPv6. It's not compatible.
But if I have my router that can basically NAT that for me, if I have an IP version 6 line on my outside, but then my network on the inside can all be IP version 4.
I don't know if it works like that.
Why wouldn't it be able to work like that? That's how NAT works already. That's why I can have a 47 dot something address on the outside, and on my inside I can be good old one.
Okay, well then you're just proving my point, because then they're going to do that at the backbone level for IPv4 forever. They're going to convert the IPv6 coming from the cable companies and the ISPs into IPv4 when they're talking to each other, because they're not all going to be able to talk to each other.
But that's how they've been doing this for a long time now. We've been we've been running out of IP addresses since I've been in high school. We started talking about IP version 6 when I was in Cisco classes. How many years ago is that now? 6 years ago. And we've
Okay, well,
slowly
I mean,
been-
we're saying the same thing then. We're saying that
But you're saying it's never gonna happen.
It's never going to be 100% IPv6.
No, it'll never be 100% IPv6, but the backbone has to switch over to IP version 6 because there's no more IP addresses to hand out. So instead of like,
I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
okay, agree to disagree. When my refrigerator needs an IP address, it's going to be IPv6. Mark my words.
Joe in the chat room's pointing out that people still use dial-up.
Thank you, Joe. This is
Joe,
true.
do you still use dial-up? It's too late.
All right. He'll catch up to us here eventually. How about the next story? Who's got it? Anybody? Bueller. Bueller. Valentine's Day was last week. We missed that. Or we missed
Oh,
the
what are
show
we going to do on
completely.
future show segments, Braden? Are we
Future-
going to ask the chat room?
Well, okay, chat room, since you're actually kind of lively tonight, what type of segment should we have on this show? We do news, tech news. We did a product review last week, which I think is kind of cool if we could do a product review, and our Watson almost feels like our product review this week. And this is kind of just an idea that I was brainstorming earlier today, is just to give us a focus of what type of stories we should be trying to pull out here and stuff. Okay, if you scroll all the way back up to the top of the wave, we might be needing to talk about how to upgrade from Internet Explorer 6, because it seems that most people that access techtalktonight.com are coming from the Internet Explorer 6 browser. I thought that was kind of odd. I thought I don't know. I don't know many people that use IP version 6 anymore. You guys developed for it, though, right?
Dude, don't even get me started on IPv6.
Well, okay, tell somebody.
Gavin, what are the browser share on that? It's like 2.3% we were looking at the other day.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and yeah, so the company we work for does web development stuff, and some of the projects do require us to do stuff for IE6, and it's outrageous. IE6 is just a pain to create websites for.
So, what are people missing as far as when not upgrading their browser? They're not able to, I know they're not able to use like PNG images like I use all the time to like do a transparency, and that's probably getting too in depth as far as what you're actually seeing on the website. But
yeah, I mean, Rob's the expert on like what actually like. There's like weird errors that like it's like documented everything that doesn't work. What are some of the main ones, Rob?
The ping transparency one is one that bothered me for years, because anytime you try to have images on top of others, IE6 only supported one layer of transparency. Color could be transparent or not, and there's no levels to that. But there's a lot of outdated JavaScript in Internet Explorer 6 where you'll see error messages constantly appearing just because it's any site that's written for IE7 or Firefox, Opera, Safari are going to be using the updated versions. So there's a lot of things that'll just break in Internet Explorer 6 because they're not necessarily W3C compatible.
Ah, the W3C. How I love thee, kind of, when you tell me my websites work. So speaking of browsers and stuff, there was one other story I heard about a couple times. The whole Google Chrome browser, they want to lose the URL bar, or they call it the magic bar, I think, maybe something like that. Would you guys use a browser that doesn't have a URL bar?
What would they possibly use instead of that?
Basically, it would just be hidden.
So when you hit Control L or Control T, it would just pop it in there for you, and you could
it
use
magically
right at that
reappear. Or probably more or less once you went up to the tab area, it would come back up and you'd be able to type in. They've already kind of gotten rid of the two separate bars, one where you type in URL and one where you type in search. And this would basically just take it one step further and get rid of both of them until you need them, giving you more screen real estate to see websites. Seems like a good idea in concept. But then you're not looking at your URL then when you're actually visiting a site, so I don't know if my Facebook connection is HTTP or HTTPS, or if I'm actually on facebookmail.com as opposed to Facebook.
I'm sure they find a way to indicate that to you. I mean, Chrome was a pioneer in like browser design. Like we had the standard file edit favorites menu plus URL bar for so long until they came up with the single bar. and Firefox and IE just didn't have that. So I think they can think of some other interesting things.
Be nice. I'm all for innovation. You gotta love that kind of stuff. Right?
Hopefully they'll come up with something good.
Yep. All right. Well, what else do we have out there?
That's all I got.
That's all you got. World population. When you posted this, what is this? Daily Mail. An unrecognizable
Oh, that was the
world.
big story today. That someone said that the global population of 9 billion will in 2050 will cause us to not be able to recognize the Earth in terms of like changing water and landmass and things like that.
So the world will basically our globe is going to be outdated and it won't look like it is today.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. But there's just one guy. But it makes a crazy headline, so people were posting it all over.
And you know what all those people are going to need as well?
Tech Talk Tonight.
No, IP addresses. And the only way to do that is to switch to IP version 6.
Dude,
And switch out
IPv6
of
has enough space
IE6.
to have an IP address for every molecule in the universe.
That's not true.
It is.
Maybe IP version 8, but not IP version 6.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
I was told that statistic.
That's...
We'll have to look it up.
Was it the same guy that told me that the Earth is going to look different after the population is whatever? Anyway. I'm out of stories. What do you guys got?
That's all we got. I think we should wrap this up.
All right, we'll wrap this up. But the party won't stop. Chat room, you stay right where you're at. Thank you for joining us for Tech Talk Tonight. You won't actually hear the outro music until I add it in post. But thank you guys. Rob? There you are.
Thanks, Braden.
Thanks for coming on. You are very knowledgeable in the area of Watson. How much do you think that computer will cost? You know, when I want to install one in my basement.
I think they said in was it 10 years you'll be able to have Watson in a single PC box
Excellent.
if you go by Moore's law.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I
So
think.
someday we'll be like sitting there and being like, back in my day, guys played Jeopardy against the amount of computing power that is in your calculator.
Yeah, so in about 12 years you'll be able to just put Watson in your ear and they'll have to check for that when you go on Jeopardy.
So at some point, Jeopardy will actually be obsolete because we'll all be as smart as Watson, because he'll be on us.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, that is kind of scary. We will basically be cyborgs then.
But we'll think Toronto is a U.S. city, so.
Well, yeah, that would... Canada's just Northern America anyway, you know. Wow, that could get me hate mail. Anyway, Gavin, goodbye to you as well.
Adios, everyone. Have a good week, and we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.